Hello, it's Anne Marie with AM Astro. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. So today is Monday. I'm excited because I just saw that Louis DeJoy is resigning. Yay! Um, Hi, August. I look like I need something here. So today's Monday, and I have been working on a trip for the boss again. Um, and he will do some hop, skipping, and jumping, and then end up in no, those are not my crows. He will end up in Charlotte for the ACC basketball tournament that starts tomorrow, Tuesday. Now SMU got a bye for the first round, and then we'll play the winner of Florida State or Syracuse Wednesday evening. So I thought I would try the John Frawley system for the three games that are going to be played tomorrow, and see how I do, or see how the system does, because yeah, it's the system, it's not me. Um, oh my goodness, all of the things. Okay, so the first game is Pittsburgh and Notre Dame, Tuesday, March 11th, 2 p.m. in Charlotte, North Carolina. So immediately we see that Cancer is rising. And also, did I have that pulled up? No, I did not. Well, let's go there. Let's just get it. ACC basketball. ACC basketball tournament. The bracket. Okay. So here's the bracket. So Notre Dame is seated 12th and Pitt is 13th. So that means Notre Dame is favored because it's a lower seed, right? And then we're going to do Virginia Tech and Cal. And as you can see, Virginia Tech is 10 and Cal is 15. So Virginia Tech is favored. And so they will be the first house. And then the last one we're going to do is Florida State and Syracuse. I had to look up who that was, the orange S. I should have known, but I wanted to say Stanford, but Stanford has the tree. So anyway, I'm still getting used to being in the ACC. And there's our SMU ponies. All right. So back to our task at hand. So when Cancer is rising, John Frawley says that he does not put a lot of confidence because the moon is too important in the flow of events. And so he really doesn't like using the moon for Lord One. So he says to use, and I missed this before. See, there's so many things that I keep missing and I have to keep going back and looking at the book to relearn, or to so many points. So he says to use the dispositor of the moon. And the dispositor of the moon, which is in Leo, is the sun. And so the sun is in, now the first thing we do is we look at the house placement of each of the points, each of the things that we want to consider. And so Lord One is going to be the sun because that's the dispositor of the moon. And it is in the 9th house. Lord Seven, the opponent, or this would be Pitt, it would be Saturn. And Saturn is in the 9th house. So this looks very interesting. And then Lord 10 is the other one we look at for Notre Dame, and that's Jupiter. And Jupiter's in the 12th house because it's on the cusp. And then Mercury for Lord 4, which is for Pittsburgh. And that's in the 10th house. It's kind of far away from the cusp though, so it's in the 10th house. So that's the most significant house placement that we can see of the 4 of the four lords or rulers of the cusps of the fourth house, the first, seventh, 10th, fourth house. And then when we look at their antisha, and so the sun's antisha, if we want to, we would need to look at, I'm not sure, let's see, how many horaries do I have here? One. Is it this one? No. Yes, Pitt versus Notre Dame, Tuesday, March 11th, 2 p.m. Okay. So the antisha for the sun is 8 Libra. So that would be in the fourth house, but it's pretty far away from the cusp. Again, similar to Mercury. But what I don't think I had noted was, oh, it's separating though, 835 and Mercury is 841. So Mercury has separated from the opposition to the antisha of Lord 1. There's a lot of qualifiers there. Lord 7, Saturn's antisha is 759 Libra. So again, Mercury is passing, has already passed that. So there's no aspect there. And then we look at Jupiter, and Jupiter's antisha is 1669 Cancer. So it is just inside the first cusp. So, so I'm going to put a little tick, but that's being inside your own house. So that's not really that beneficial. So it's just kind of like a minor tick. And then Mercury's antisha is 21 Virgo. So that is in the third house. So none of those are a big deal, right? Did we already look at antisha of Saturn? Saturn's antisha is in, okay. So then we look at the antisha of the part of fortune. And that is 1358 Capricorn, which would be right on, it's less than a degree from the cusp of the 7th house. So that's a big point. Like that's one of the biggest check marks for Lord 7, or for like when a good placement of part of fortune or the antisha of the part of fortune are one of the strongest testimonies, that's the word I wanted, that you can have. And so that is a testimony to the underdog winning, because it's on the cusp of the 7th house, the underdog's house. So there's no aspects. The moon, as you can see up here, the moon is void of course. So there's no aspects that the moon is applying to. None of the planets are really applying to each other, except the sun, Lord 1, applying to Saturn, Lord 7, in a combustion. It's a combustion. And it's too far apart to be considered a cazimi, which would give Saturn even more strength. So Saturn is combust. So the best testimony is the antisha of the part of fortune is on the cusp of the 7th house, which says yay to the underdog. The worst testimony is that the sun is combust, Lord 7. And the other testimonies are just minor things. I am gonna say that Pitt beats Notre Dame. So that's my first testimony, or my first prediction is that Pitt wins. So Pitt will then go on to play against, I need to share again. Pitt will go on to play against North Carolina. So we'll look at it. We'll wait and see who wins to see if I'm right or wrong. And then we'll do another round of these for Wednesday's games. Okay, so far I've picked Pitt. Now let's go back to look at Cal versus Virginia Tech. I'm going to flip my notes and I'm going to take a sip of my French 75, which I filled too much. Okay, so these are all in Charlotte, North Carolina. Uh-oh, was I hearing somebody need to go out? I'm going to pause. Miss Aspen needs to go out, so hang on. Okay, so I left the door open. I don't know if you can see, but I left the door open so she can come in, so I don't have to stop it again. Okay, so we're at Cal versus Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech is favored. So Virginia Tech is ruled by the sun because we've moved 2.5 hours later. So now Leo is rising. So, but we're still looking at the sun because before we were looking at the dispositor of the moon. But now we're looking at the sun as in Lord 1. And it is placed in the 8th house. And it's Antisha. Okay, so now we have to go back and look at the horary to look at the Antishas. Cal versus Virginia Tech, March 11th. Okay. So the sun's Antisha is 829 of Libra. And now that is in the 3rd house. So nothing. The ruler of the 10th cusp is Venus. And Venus is in the 9th house, retrograde, but we're not looking at any of those things. We're just looking at house placements. Antisha 21 Virgo, so in the 2nd house, so nothing. So now we'll look at Cal is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in the 8th house, and its Antisha is 7 Libra, and that's in the 3rd house. And the 4th house is Mars. Mars is in the 12th house, and Mars Antisha 11 Gemini is in the 10th house. Okay, so none of that is exciting and influential and something to write home about. Part of Fortune's Antisha is Sagittarius, I think. Yeah, 1142 Sag. So in the 4th house, but far from the cusp. So that doesn't really help us do anything. So no aspects, no outer planet influences. The only thing is the combustion here. So I said Virginia Tech wins. So I'm not feeling confident with it, but I'm going to go with Virginia Tech because of the combustion, even though it's closer to Saturn now. Yeah, I'm going with Virginia Tech. Okay. All right. So just to try to explain that, because the sun, well, yeah, because the sun was, we were using the sun in the first game as Lord 1, even though it was the dispositor of the moon. I felt that because it was like a couple rows down, I didn't give it as much weight. And because we had the part of Fortune, Antisha, on the cusp of the 7th, that to me seems like a very strong testimony. But now that we don't have any testimonies really for either team, other than the fact that the sun, which is in this point Lord 1, is overtaking Lord 7. So this Lord 7 is combust, yes, but Lord 1, actual Lord 1, Amazon's here, which means Augie's going to start barking. But actual Lord 1, the sun, for a Leo rising chart, now is overtaking Lord 7. So that's why I feel a little bit trying to convince myself that Virginia Tech is in fact going to win over Cal. Okay. Okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. My dogs. Okay. So one game left, and that is Syracuse versus Florida State. So this one, I feel really good about this one. So FSU is favored because we need to go back and look at the bracket, because there's 11 seed playing Syracuse, which is 14 seed. So Florida State is, in fact, the favored team. So they are Lord 1, which is Mercury. And now this is one of those situations where Mercury, it's Ptolemy's 54th aphorism, I believe, where when Virgo is rising, whatever begins in Virgo culminates in Gemini. Both are ruled by Mercury. And so it's like the aphorism is actually, when Virgo rises, the native has his fate in his own hands or something like that, because it's the same ruler. And therefore also the way this works, the way astrology works, is Pisces is on the descendant. And so the same will be, because whatever begins in Pisces culminates in Sagittarius. So we're only looking at Mercury and Jupiter. So Mercury is in the 8th house because it's on the cusp of the 8th. And it's Antisha. If we want to look at the Antisha, is this the right one? Yes. Okay. Mercury's Antisha is 21 Virgo. So that's inside the 1st house. So that's a kind of, well, but this is, yeah. So they're inside their own house. That doesn't, that's no big deal. And then, so we're not looking at Lord 10 because it's Mercury. We already did. And then we look at Jupiter, and Jupiter is right on the midheaven. Bing, bing, bing. That's a big testimony, because victory. The 10th house belongs to Florida State, but Lord 7 is right there saying, nah, we're going to take this victory. So that's a really strong testimony. But we'll just say the Antisha for Jupiter is 16 Cancer. And so that is in the 10th house. So that's pretty good. So we look at the part of fortune Antisha now, and the part of fortune is at 20 Aquarius, but we want to look at 9 Scorpio, which would be in the 2nd or in the 3rd house because it's so close to the cusp. So that doesn't do anything. Moon is still void, of course. And I don't see any. If we go back and look at outers, we've got Pluto in the 3rd, in the 5th, and Neptune in the 7th, but way far away from the cusp, and Uranus in the 9th. So the only testimony is Jupiter, Lord 7, sitting on the cusp of the midheaven. So I am calling this one for Syracuse to beat Florida State. I'm picking Syracuse anyway, not South Florida. Florida, FSU, Florida State. So anyway, those are my 3 picks. So I picked, get back and go over it again. Pitt wins, Virginia Tech wins, and Syracuse wins. We'll see how I do. Thanks for watching.